Right, good morning. What I'm doing here is looking at the crown of the end of the barrel. As you can see, I've taken the shroud off, and this is the silencer, which this part goes into the shroud onto the back end. I don't know, well, you can't see it on the camera, but that holds it central. First I'm going to use a bit of tissue just to stick it in and turn it. And as you can see the lead. So that crown, this, what I would call the crown of the silencer part, is quite circular, so I can't see no rough marks on that at all. Yeah, that's quite circular, so I'm going to do the same with the crown and see what that's like. I'm just sticking it in and turning it. And that looks, the small circle there, I don't know if you can see it, that looks quite clean, but not necessary. Is it really? What I need to do is like put a cotton bud in there and see if there's any restriction, then look and see if there's any wool what's come off that. As I say, I will take the barrel off and mostly polish it. Well, I'll take the barrel off and push a pellet through to see where tight spots are. But the crown to me at the moment looks okay. I wouldn't say 100%, but you know, it's, you know, by the markings of that circle, that small circle here is very cleanly round, you know, and so is these two big ones. But I'll as I say, I will take the barrel off and push a pellet through just to see if there's any tight spots in that barrel, and especially when it leaves the barrel, that's where the problem would be, when the pellet's ready to leave the barrel. Yeah, some people have remarked about, oh, I didn't know you could change barrels. Well, you can't really unless you machine where it goes into the block, and that takes some what can I say? That takes a lot of like arithmetic measurements and stuff like that, because you've got to get the port in the right place, the hole where it goes into the barrel. You've got to be in exactly the right place, and of course it has to be turned down on a lathe, and I don't think my lathe is strong enough to do it. As I say, I could try, and the only thing what could happen is that I lose money in trying, you know what I mean? But I think it's well worth a try. But first I've got to take the barrel off and do these tests. But what I'm going to do today, if you look here, you can see 4 holes on this unit, and that lets, when that's in the shroud, that lets the air go down, you know. So I'm going to try this just like this today and see what difference it makes without the shroud. As I say, the shroud can also act as a tensioner in a way of when it lips onto this part here and the back part, and you screw it tight, the whole thing kind of compresses, so it stiffens your barrel, and that's where you can get problems. I had that problem with the Beeman, whereas you've really got to try to, well, it's judge and error and judgment. You know, you got to either have it loose or slightly tightened up to get that, because that's going to change the harmonics of the barrel. But it'd be interesting to shoot it just as it is, as you see it, just a plain barrel, no shroud, of course, with the silencer. With these holes, it's possible it's still going to be loud. I'm not quite sure until I try it. As I say, the crown is not 100%. These are cheaply made barrels, and so you can see on that, I just wiped that twice or 3 times, and you can see the lead compound where it comes out these holes and shoots down the bottom of the barrel. You know. Of course, I can't get underneath the barrel because it's fixed on, but you can still see the lead. That's because I had it crossed over there. You can see the lead there. See it? Yeah, faint marks. Yeah, but you know, there's so many different sort of tests you can do on a barrel. You know, people have said about the crown, yeah, okay. Even where the pellet goes into the barrel, even if that's a bit rough, that could distort the pellet. But the real major point is when it leaves the barrel and goes through the silencer. That's where the problem is. If there's just the slightest metal filings inside that barrel where it leaves, where the pellet leaves, will alter that shot. You know, misalign the point of aim. But it'd be interesting if I can get another barrel here, so you can see the lead is still running. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to try it like this today, and see if the accuracy is a bit better without the shroud on. Be interesting. Right, okay. Yeah, when I'm looking for this, I've got to talk. Oh, yes, I have. Now, I don't know whether you can see the hole. The hole covers the thread only half, and the end of the barrel, the other part of the hole is over the barrel, in front of the barrel, where the pellet leaves. And of course you can't tighten it up no more. I've got it tightened up, but I don't know whether you can see that. Yeah, I'll try it like this today and see what it's like. Be very interesting. Yeah, as I say, my main concern is when it leaves the barrel, when it reaches about this point here and it leaves the barrel, that's where the deflection can be on that pellet. But as I say, if replacing the barrel one, it's got to be machined down on a lathe and everything. Well, if I do it, it's trial and error, you know what I mean? And I've only got one try, because if I buy a barrel blank, the cheapest one I think is about £60. You know, and it's trial and error, but I've only got one try because I'll only buy one barrel. This is where I should really take it to a proper gunsmith to have done. But I would like to put a BSA or a CZ barrel in it, even a Crow barrel, because they're good. As I say, these sort of barrels on these snow peaks are really cheaply made. You know, of course, you don't know what the rifling is. Is it 1x12, 1x6, or whatever? You know. You know, the way I look at things is that if the pellet, you know, it's the speed of the pellet or the power of the gun. If the pellet don't like it, it's going to shoot off. Also, the barrel rifling, if the pellet don't like that, it's going to do something, maybe something different, I don't know. But of course, if there's any filings, although you can put a puller through, you know, cleaning the barrel, it won't clean the filings out, it'll only clean the lead out. The filings are like welded, you know what I mean, into the barrel, so it's got to be polished. And it's, you know, polishing will most probably give it better accuracy. But as I say, when you polish a barrel, if you take too much out, you can't put it back in. Right, so that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to shoot this AP900 without the shroud and see what the difference is. There may be a difference, there may be not. You know, I don't know. So I'll see you later. Bye.